Hi, I'm State Representative Jeffrey Elmore, and I represent the 94th District in the North Carolina House, which is currently Wilkes and Allegheny counties. Today I'm going to share with you some highlights from the short session which concluded at the end of June. Today I will be talking about some of the budget highlights, some major pieces of legislation that was passed. Also, I will be speaking about the constitutional amendments that will be on the ballot this fall that you, the voter, will get to decide if it becomes part of our founding state constitution. First, I want to talk about some high points from the budget. The budget that was enacted for this year is $23.9 billion in net appropriations, which is approximately $885 million, or 3.85% above the amount enacted for last year. Part of that additional funding is over $700 million in additional education funding. Also under this budget, 99% of North Carolina families will pay less in state taxes in 2019 or pay no state income taxes at all. The new state income tax rate is set at 5.25%. The budget cuts taxes on the overwhelming majority of North Carolina families. Under Democrats, the top rate was 7.75%. Also, we set a new baseline salary for all permanent state employees of $31,200. This is considered a living wage, which equates to $15 per hour. State employees and state-funded local employees will see a salary increase of 2%. Also, state retirees get a 1% one-time cost of living supplement. This was at a cost of $30 million. Because of concerns in our prisons for safety and security, we have invested $15 million in improvements in our North Carolina prisons. Also, for recruitment of our correctional officers, we did an increase of 4% to their salaries. Recruitment and retention has been a concern for our state troopers, so we adjusted their salary scales to where they can reach top pay in 6 years, which equates $64,202. The new starting state trooper pay is going to begin at $44,000. Hopefully this will help with our retention and recruitment. Also in this budget, something I'm very excited to see is a $10 million investment in grant programs for broadband access for rural communities across North Carolina. We also included $60 million in new funds for disasters relief. This increases the state's total spending to over $360 million since the state was hit by Hurricane Matthew. $2 billion is the new total balance for the state's rainy day fund, this is a record. So basically the state's savings account is in place, so if we endure another weather-related natural disaster or tough economic times, we have funds available to get through it. Now, some highlights from the education K-12 budget. The average state-funded salary increase for teachers and instructional support personnel is 6.5%. This brings the estimated average teacher pay to $53,700. If you would like to see specifics on the teacher salary schedule itself, you can find it on my website, jeffreyelmore.com. Average raises for principals were $3,150, creating the minimum principal salary increase from $61,751 to $66,010. Also, we included in the pay raises assistant principals, so their pay will grow by approximately 6.5% or $3,950. Something that I'm excited about is that we doubled the number of LEAs that can participate in the Teacher Assistant Tuition Reimbursement Program. The goal of this program is to help TAs receive training to become teachers, and it provides tuition reimbursement of up to $4,500. Allegheny County was included in this year's budget to participate in the program. We also included $241 million in lottery funds for building and upgrades to the school facilities. We also included $50 million to pay college credit exam fees for families by 2019. We also extended the virtual charter schools pilot for an additional 4 years. This is a valuable resource for our families that homeschool across the state. We also increased by $3 million the Special Education Scholarship Grant Program, which is geared for special needs students across the state. School safety has been a major concern of the state legislature in recent events with the school shootings. In the interim, we had a school safety committee, which I was a part of, that made recommendations for ways that we could build upon legislation that we passed in 2013 on this subject matter. We invested over $35 million in school safety initiatives in this budget. $5 million of that was for what is called the Speak Up app. This is an app that students can put on their smartphones to where if they see a threat or some sort of abuse over social media, they can report that confidentially through the app. And on the other end is a support team that will actively investigate these threats that are found through social media sites. It also created a $12 million grant program which builds upon one that we already had for school resource officers. This is a matching program, so for every dollar that is spent from the locals, the state will invest $2 matching it. It also provides $15 million to provide mental health related grants for schools, to hire school mental health personnel, and training and services for students and parents. Also, the $35 million also includes $3 million for school safety equipment grants. This is monies for things like locks on doors, key entries, basically the physical part of the school that needs improvements for safety reasons. A major piece of education legislation was House Bill 986. Under this bill, the State Board of Education and the Department of Public Instruction is to report annually on the implementation of statutory requirements regarding cursive writing and multiplication tables. This was legislation that was passed about 4 years ago, and we want to ensure that that is being implemented in our schools across the state. Also included was a concern that we had because many high-flying students were not being enrolled in upper-level math courses, which we are finding that the workforce now is demanding that skill level, especially in math. So part of this legislation requires that students who score a level 5 on the end-of-year math test, that they are to be placed in an advanced level math class the following year. The State Superintendent of Public Instruction has also been dictated through legislation to make recommendations on ways to reduce testing that are not otherwise required by state or federal law. Now, also the Department of Public Instruction is to develop a health training program and requirements for suicide risk referrals. Now, under community colleges, we fully fund the community college enrollment growth by providing an additional $2.7 million. We also increased funding for the continuing education and workforce development leading to industry credentials by almost $15 million. Part of that was $50,000 assigned to go to Wilkes Community College to be used for equipment needs for the culinary program because of the growth of that program here on the campus of Wilkes Community College. Now, under the University of North Carolina system, we provided an additional $11 million of funds for the full implementation of NC Promise. This program gives students a tuition break at 3 of our universities, with tuition rates set at $1,000 per year for in-state students and $5,000 per year for out-of-state students starting this fall. The 3 universities participating are Elizabeth City State University, UNC Pembroke, and Western Carolina University. Now, under the Health and Human Services section of the budget, we increased the child care market subsidy rate for Tier 1 and Tier 2 counties by almost $4 million and Tier 3 counties by almost $10 million. This funding helps keep daycares open in rural areas of the state. We also reduced the child care subsidy wait list by providing almost $20 million to serve an additional 3,700 children. This is very important here in Wilkes County because we had hit the cap in this pot of money. We also provided $8.6 million through federal funds for the Low Income Energy Assistance Program. This is to help poor in the community pay their heating bills in the winter. We also provided $1.4 million to expand a facility-based crisis center for involuntary commitments and substance abuse services here in Wilkes County. Once this facility is built, it will serve all of Northwest North Carolina with our involuntary commitments. So this will be a real resource for all counties in this part of the state. A major piece of legislation that was passed under Health and Human Services was House Bill 998. The goal of this was to improve rural health. First, it improves access to dental care for residents of rural areas, and it directs the Department of Health and Human Services to study initiatives for medical education in rural areas and assist rural hospitals in becoming designated as teaching hospitals. The goal of this is to try to recruit more doctors into the rural areas of the state. Now, under the Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services part of the budget, we provided $14.7 million for farmland preservation through the trust fund. Also, we provided $1 million to the One NC Small Business Fund and $2.5 million to the Carolina Small Business Development Fund. A major piece of legislation that was passed this year was House Bill 711. This is the NC Farm Act of 2018. This was actually vetoed by Governor Cooper, and the legislature overrode his veto. What this bill does, first, part of the bill would allow individuals to buy a partial share of an animal for the purpose of acquiring raw milk. This is also known as cow sharing. Also, it makes changes to the nuisance laws. A nuisance lawsuit can't be filed unless it is done within a year of the establishment of the agriculture or forestry operation, and the nuisance is located within 1/2 mile of the source of the activity or the structure alleged to be a nuisance. This bill is critical for our area and our animal production that takes place throughout the entire district and our forestry industry. So this bill will truly help preserve our farming industry here in District 94. Now, under the Justice and Public Safety section of the budget, we included funding for the Governor's Crime Commission for body-worn camera grants in rural areas of the state, so small police departments can get grant money to purchase body cameras for their officers. It also creates the Criminal Justice Fellows Program, and what this will do is provide forgivable loans to folks interested in going into law enforcement. So hopefully this will help increase the number of criminal justice professionals. Also, we passed House Bill 969, and again, this deals with the prison security issue that we were having. It clarifies some of the statutes where it will expand the prisoner conduct classification as malicious. It also prohibits the possession of a tool used for escape by a prisoner, and it authorizes the Information Sharing Analysis Center to analyze certain threats to public safety and then to notify the local law enforcement agency. Under the transportation budget and bills, we passed Senate Bill 758. This is the Build NC Bond Act of 2018. What this bill does, it allows for the issue of what are called the Build NC bonds. This is a type of special indebtedness in which the proceeds shall be used for division need projects and regional impact projects in accordance with the Strategic Transportation Investment Program. These Build NC bonds shall not exceed $3 billion. These funds will help speed up completion of vital projects across rural North Carolina as they're focused on the regional and local projects, not statewide projects. So we should see a speed up in many of our road projects. Now in November, we passed 6 pieces of legislation that authorized the following items to be placed on the ballot. What these are, they are constitutional amendments. In November, you will have the opportunity to vote for or against these items. And if they pass, they will be placed permanently in the North Carolina State Constitution. I'm going to go over each of the 6, and I'm actually going to be going over them in the order that you will see them on the ballot to explain what each one of them does. The first amendment that you will have an opportunity to vote on is Senate Bill 677. It is called the Protect the Right to Hunt and Fish. This amendment will include language in the state constitution to provide that the people of the state have a right to hunt, fish, and harvest wildlife, subject to certain limitations. This is very important as our state continues to urbanize, that we do not lose our hunting heritage, and this will help preserve that. The next one that you will see is House Bill 551. This is called Strengthening Victims' Rights, or also called Marsy's Law. What this amendment will do is expand the rights of victims of crime to be provided better protections and safeguards. The next one that you will see is House Bill 913. This is the Bipartisan Ethics and Elections Enforcement. What this does, it would remove the partisanship from the oversight of elections, ethics, and lobbying, and it also prohibits state legislators from serving on boards and commissions. The next one that you will see on the ballot is Senate Bill 75. This is the maximum income tax rate of 7%. What this will do is the rate of tax on income shall not in any case exceed 7%. This is a 30% decrease from the current constitutional maximum of 10%. The next one that you will see is Senate Bill 814, the Judicial Vacancy Sunshine Amendment. What this will do is create a nonpartisan judicial merit commission for the nomination and recommendation of nominees to fill vacancies in the office of justice or judge of the General Court of Justice. This does not change in any way the process of electing judges or anything that deals with regular judicial elections. This is for appointments only. The last one that you will see is to require a photo ID to vote in person. There is a majority bipartisan support for voter ID across the country and the state. Citizens of North Carolina deserve a chance to weigh in on securing their right to vote. The language of this constitutional amendment is very broad for what ID will qualify. Currently, 32 states require some form of voter ID. North Carolina is one of only 18 that does not. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about the District 94 map changes. Normally, the North Carolina General Assembly is required to redraw the district maps following each census due to the population changes to be able to maintain equal representation. But due to lawsuits, the maps have been court-ordered to be redrawn. So in 2017, the General Assembly passed a new district plan. The new 94th District does not include Allegheny County and part of Wilkes County. The new district is going to include the population centers of Wilkes and all of Alexander County. I've included a graphic in this video to show you exactly the layout of the new districts. I appreciate the few minutes that I've had to share with you some of the highlights from the short session. And as always, if you have any questions or concerns, feel free to contact my office in Raleigh, and I've also included the contact information for you. Again, thank you, and I'm very proud to be the representative for the 94th District of the North Carolina House.